Good evening. 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 We wait 2-3 minutes, then we start. Refresh. Netrash, refresh. We should do 6th to 11th. No. Suraksha, I told you 6th, 7th, 12th, part 1, part 2. Not 6th to 12th. Netra, refresh. Tina, I'll point that out. We'll get that sorted. Srishti, again, I think I have forwarded your email to the team. Don't worry. I see that you have forwarded today also. I've seen that. I forwarded to the team. Today, tomorrow, it will get sorted. You got the optional call. Very good. Where is this topic in RS Sharma? This is in RS Sharma 12, 13, 15. Every chapter, every module has the key. Every module. First slide. In test series 24th, everything. It's a full course test. Monica, what would be expected is that you would have to go through the recordings of the past two. You have Upinder Singh, so you have a higher book. More than enough. In Sharma book written Neolithic of Mehergarh were more advanced. They produce wheat, barley. That's right. It's a Neolithic society. How many questions will come from epochs? Zero, none, ever, zero, never. That's for your understanding. We'll talk about Aryan today. That's the first topic we cover. Aryan debate. Yes, Lakshya, that is more than enough. Medieval is easier than ancient. If you understand, ancient is easier. Okay. Everything will be asked on 24th test series. Ancient, medieval, art and culture, modern, everything. Simarpreet, those are texts written during the Maurya to Gupta period. There's no current affairs, but yes, in art and culture, there's current affairs. Vedic is proper historical. We'll discuss that. I'm waiting for people to come in. I wait till 6:10, 5:10, then we start. Shabir, were you in the weekend batch? We need Atlas for this subject. No. Indus Valley Civilization decline period is 1700-ish. No, sir. AM. AM means what? Exact time period of Neolithic 4000 to 2600 will be different in every place, but more or less 4000 to 2600. Chalcolithic is 2600, 1700. So which batch were you that the handwritten PPTs are messed up? No issues, Sakshi. I am going to discuss when did they come. So how can that be that you are telling me all annotated are mixed up in modern day? Lecture 3, 7, 9 are all mixed up. So most probably that would be because if I was going one module behind, so 6 would have 5 that ways. So it should not be a problem. Okay. So we waited enough and now we can start. So yesterday we finished Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, and thereafter we have the IVC Chalcolithic. And in a way we have covered prehistory and protohistory. And now we enter the historical period, which is Vedic age. Now, more important than that, we started at 2 million BC. We came till 10,000. Then we came till 4,000. And this was from 2600 to 1700 BCE. Now, the Vindhya Satpura range is the oldest range, Harsh, that is why. Very stable range. In R.S. Sharma, there are 3 chapters. In NCRTs, we have 2 chapters in 6th and 1 chapter in the 12th class NCRT, if you want to refer to. Other than that, we now have to understand 1700 BC, IVC starts to decline. And the Vedic age, which is based on the reading of the Vedas, starts around 1500. Now, this 200-year period, we have no idea about what source is it, what idea is it, what concept is it. But the concept is very simple. The concept is that in 1500, there emerged a text called Rig Veda, which was written by somebody called the Arya. Now, this raises the questions, who are the Arya? So, the fact why we discuss Aryan or Arya or Aryan migration is there's a 200-year period where we have no source, and the Indus Valley civilization and the Rig Vedic people have no real connection. Actually, have no real connection because the Rig Veda was written in a language called Sanskrit and was written in a script called Brahmi. This is the real path-breaking concept wherein they had a script and a language which had nothing to do with the languages of the IVC. So one thing is very, very clear, that Rig Veda, or the Vedic period, which has been reconstructed by reading the Vedas, has no real connection with the IVC. IVC keeps on declining parallelly, but the Aryans start to migrate into India, and therefore they were coming with a language and a script which was in a way very unique to them. Now I have to explain to you, what does this word Aryan mean? What Aryan means? Can I discuss this? Everybody's ready? Who said Aryans came? Might they came already in India? Again, Naitra, outward, inward, I will come to that debate, don't worry. You're giving me a part of the debate. Brahmi, earlier script. First script of India. Script is how you write, language is the phonetical system. Now, in order to understand this word Aryan, you need to understand first two words and then a simple concept. See, there's something called race and there's something called ethnicity or ethnic. Now, me, Donald Trump, and Xi Jinping, do we look the same? No, because we are racially different. We are racially different. Racial means physical differentiation or differences. So, Indian, uh, American, and a Chinese will look different. An African will look even more different. So it's physical difference. But then, a Britisher, a Frenchman, a German, and a Portuguese, do they look different? No. But are they the same? No. Same way, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, do they look the same? Yes. But they are actually the same. Now, this is called ethnic differentiation. Ethnic differentiation means cultural differences or traditions are different. So, same race can have multiple ethnicities. For example, India. India is the best example of ethnic diversity. From Gujarat, Rajasthan, UP, MP, Bihar, West Bengal, everybody has the same racial identity. But are they all the same? Whatever states I took the name of, they aren't. They are culturally different. So, cultural difference is called ethnicity. Physical differentiation is called racial differentiation. And there can also be different races having same ethnic traits. I'll give you a very simple example. Very simple example. I speak English, American speaks English, African speaks English, and a European speaks English. Are we all the same? Are we all the same? No. We all are racially different, but our ethnicity is the same. Our ethnic trait is the same. That our language is the same. Globalization creates a multi-ethnic society, and more races have same ethnicities. So the fact is that when I say race, it means physical form. When I say ethnicity, I mean cultural differentiation. You can make these two things out. Race equals to physical difference, ethnicity equals to cultural difference. Can I lock this in that you understand race and ethnicity? Okay, perfect, beautiful. Now, now, now see, in order to understand RN, you need to understand this concept, wherein I'm going to do a comparative analysis of certain languages, and let's see if there is a certain type of pattern which emerges. What did I say? Race is physical, ethnicity is cultural. Now, if I look at Sanskrit and if I look at English, matar, mother, pitar, father, bhratar, brother, swastar, sister, Siri, cereal, sama, same, nav, navy. If I do Sanskrit and Iranian, hotar, zotar, mitra, mitra, are, aira, dhutiya, daughter. And if I move a little bit more further, and if I take Sanskrit, Greek, English, Latin, and even Albanian, or for example, Armenian, the words are sounding the same. Matar, mater, mater, mother, mayer, maser, moter, motina. Now, this could not be a coincidence. This could not be a coincidence that a whole set of languages which are across the European and Central Asian and Indian sector have similar sounding words. Have similar sounding words. And herein lies the key to understand Aryans. See, Aryans is believed they were a multi-racial group which spoke the same language called rather we'll call it a group of people who spoke the same language called Indo-European language, who migrated from Central Asia towards Asia and Europe and developed the regional languages of these areas. What we believe is that after a linguistic analysis of these things are done, for somewhere near the Caspian Sea, there was one set of people who used to speak this concept called Indo-European language. And in every area which they went, there was a certain variation which came through, and it in turn led to all these languages somehow being connected. The connection between Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, Armenian, for example, Germanic, Russian, even Ukrainian languages is because they all originate from the same language itself. I'll show you the process how it happens. But the fact is that what Aryans are, there is a very big distortion which Hitler created later, when he said that Aryans are a race. No, Aryans are not a race. Aryans are a linguistic group. A speech group. They did not have the same racial features, but they had the same language. And when they started to migrate out of their core area, regional languages started to mix up and created more languages itself, which somehow are still connected because the main language remains the same. The fact that all of these languages sound the same is because all of these languages come out of one language itself, which is called the Indo-European language, which was the original language of the Aryans when they started from their main area. And when they started to move out, they then started to go and develop their regional variations in that sense. If it makes a little bit of sense for the examination, you just need to know that it is basically a speech group or linguistic group. I would like to demonstrate to you how it happens. Aryan invasion theory, today I have already told you that is an invasion theory. I am talking about Aryan migration. Aryans are a group who spoke the same language called Indo-European language and who migrated to different parts of the world, thereby creating a language set which has antecedents to the same language itself. I would like to show you how it happens. For that, you have to first tell me basic idea seems to be correct or not. I'll tell you how it works. All languages originate, not all languages, only this language set. Okay, you see, it's a very simple concept. You think of it like this. See, there's a core area. Now think of it like this. Please concentrate. I don't need to do this. I really don't need to do this, but I'm still doing it. Imagine that there were A, B, C, and D. Aryans are humans. They are people who speak the same language. Listen to me. Look at it. Look what I'm doing. Then you will understand. A, B, C, D are 4 racial groups. Which means that do they look the same? Do they look the same? No. 4 racial groups, meaning 4 different groups. Now, Adolf Hitler connection, Prashant, world history. Because I don't have the patience to tell you, I will say a lot of things, you will not understand it. So wait for world history for that. 4 racial groups. Then they all used to speak. They all used to speak I'll not even say, they all used to speak X language. Can this be that multiple racial groups can speak a same language? Can it be? Yes. Like we speak English, and Africans also speak English. We all speak English, but we are racially different. So A, B, C, D are 4 racial groups. They speak a language called X. Now, these groups start to migrate in 4 different directions because they are pastoralists or nomadic animal husbandry groups. So basically they will look for more and more land for grazing of their cattle itself. And they reached 4 areas. Where they reached was E, F, G, H. Now, ironically, E, F, G, H, there were regional languages. There were indigenous languages also. For example, M, N, O, P. This is the regional language before these groups arrived. Now, what happens is when these groups reach there, X mix ups with the regional language and becomes XM, XN, XG, XP. So what will be, now you tell me, if you speak any of these languages, XM, XP, XG, XN, would they sound the same? They would, because X is common to them. Because X is common to them, that is why they will have little bit of connection. Now, if I write, for example, this Indo-European language, I write German, Sanskrit, Iranian, and Armenian. Now, does it make sense? Now, does it make sense? That how are these languages actually connected to each other? XO, okay, very good, perfect, very good, very good. 100 out of 100 marks for pointing it out. Good, very good. XO. अब समझ आ गया ना? This was the only thing which was a problem. See, Gayu, firstly 7 classes, leave it to me. I will solve it. Don't ask the same question. Then you will ask me you are not following. Then don't tell me that you're not following. I'm telling you something. I'm just telling you one thing, which is that the Aryans were a speech group which migrated to different parts of the world. And because they had a same language, they started to interact with the indigenous population, which in turn led to the rise of the regional variations of Indo-European languages. Basically, Sanskrit, the mother of Sanskrit and Brahmi, is the Indo-European language, which dates back to 1500, 1700 BCE. That's the only point. Does this make sense? But different races, but same ethnicity. Yes. Different races, same ethnicities. Can we write this examination? Nobody, Shargun, is going to ask you this in the examination. You just need to understand what they are. Aryan migration is a migration of a racial group or a linguistic group. You tell me. Aryan migration is the migration of a racial group or a linguistic group. It is Aryan migration is the migration of a linguistic group into the Indian subcontinent. And the product of this migration is Sanskrit and Brahmi. And it is these Aryans who wrote the Vedas' first text of Indian subcontinent. I don't know, Hemant, what you mean by that. I have no idea what you say by that. I don't know where you're getting it from. How can we say they're from Central Asia? I'm coming to that. I know, Netra, you are prescribing to some YouTube channel and to a video which you have heard from somebody who is talking about outward migration of Aryans, not inward. I'm coming to that. So don't worry. Don't worry. I will tell you that. Sanskrit is a product of Indo-European lineage. This is the language which connects all of these languages together. The word Aryan is not a racial term but a linguistic term. They spoke Indo-European languages. Their origin is in Central Asia, and the close affinity between different languages is related to the fact that all of these languages come out of the same group itself. And that is why all the languages which are written here have similar sounding words, because Aryans did not just migrate into India, they are migrated to different places. Again, Brahmi. Brahmi is the script. Sanskrit is the language. You do not need to learn that. Do not learn this. Yeah, everything I show you, do not learn. See, I don't know. You all are very distracted, but my agenda is very straightforward. I'm telling you how it is happening. I will come to inward, outward. Simple point is, I told you race means physical differentiation. Ethnicity means the concept of cultural differentiation. Now, what I mean to say is, Aryans is a group of people who spoke a language but had different racial identity. They were a group which used to live in a certain area, and from that area they started to migrate into different areas because they are pastoralists. Pastoralist means ghas charana. The ones who do animal husbandry look for more and more pastures. They were looking for more pastures. They started to slowly move out of their core area, and when they started to move out of the core area, these groups became what we call as distinguished, or they got in a way detached from each other. But because they got detached from each other, though these A, B, C, D don't look different, A became, for example, Germanic, B became the Indians, C, D became for example, uh, Iranians, and the P became, or the B became Armenians. They looked different, but they had one connection, which was this language which all of them had. So in the examination, they are not a racial group. When the word Aryan comes in the examination, the word Aryan is a linguistic group, not a racial group. It can't be a racial group because they don't look the same. The word Aryan refers to a linguistic group. Can you just remember this? This will come in the examination. Nobody is asking you to write a thesis on this. Okay. They are an ethnic group. Yes. Okay. They are an ethnic group. Everybody says yes. Then we move forward because there's a debate here. The point is, why am I having this discussion? Because the Vedas were written by the Arya, and therefore the Aryans needed to be decoded. Who are they? They are a linguistic group. Okay. Now there's a debate wherein one group says that there is inward migration of Aryans, wherein these people came from Central Asia and trickled into the Indian subcontinent. No invasion. It was not violent. It was a trickling of Aryan people into the Indian subcontinent, which in turn led to Sanskrit getting developed with internal interaction with languages which were there in North India, not necessarily a proper language. Dialectical changes or dialects and languages came together and created Sanskrit. There's also one more group of historians, as one of you is pointing out, which says no, Sanskrit is not the son of or daughter of Indo-European language. Rather, Sanskrit is the mother of all Indo-European languages. That is something where it is an outward migration from India. One is inward migration into India. There is no interaction with Indus Valley civilization because Indus Valley civilization features do not exist in Vedic. When I'll show you that, I will show you how they are basically different. How They are basically quite different to each other because there are no interconnections, which we'll talk about. So, does they possess Vedic knowledge already? They are, Harsh, firstly, you joined late, but Vedic knowledge is nothing called, it's their cultural identity which will become Vedic knowledge, which I'm going to talk about. But first thing first, outward and inward. How do we say it is inward? We say inward because there has been a study in the past 5 years wherein the genetic analysis of Indians and all these countries, the analysis of all these language country groups, when we analyzed these groups, the gene which is common is not Indian but the Caspian Sea gene, which tells us that it cannot be Sanskrit which is going to sit here, but rather Sanskrit being a product of it. This is an ongoing debate. It is a matter of pride in a way, so it will keep on going on. But we believe that there was an inward migration of a linguistic group, the Aryans, who therefore wrote the Vedas, and in turn led to a period of what is called as the Vedic age and a new culture which is called the Vedic culture, which I'm going to discuss with you. Sanskrit is the oldest language in India. India's oldest script and language is Sanskrit. Yes, the Indo-European language plus domestic languages in turn led to Sanskrit. What is inward, outward? Inward meaning from into India, and outward means out of India. Old Tamil is also a derivative language out of Sanskrit in that regard. And that is again a debate. An ongoing debate will always remain a debate because there's politics involved. Outward, I don't need to explain to you because that is the most outward may be that the Aryans were sitting here and they went out. And inward is that Aryans were sitting in Central Asia and then came inward. Prakrit is not the oldest language. Prakrit, Pali are derivatives of Sanskrit. Don't tell me because I know. Don't tell me because I know. So telling me is not going to help. I am telling you something. Do agree or don't agree. What I'm telling you has to be written in the examination. Inward, outward is nothing but the fact that the Aryans came into India. Outward means the Aryans went from India to other areas. In that case, inward would mean that Sanskrit is the product of Indo-European. Outward would mean that Sanskrit is the origin of all languages. That's it. But simple, straightforward point. There was an inward migration from the northwestern sector of India. There was an inward migration of people called the Aryans who had no connection to the Indus Valley civilization people. And simple point is they brought with them Sanskrit and Brahmi, in a way in turn leading to this text which is called the Rig Veda. This is the Rig Veda, oldest manuscript we ever found. This is the original Rig Veda which we see. It's 150-year-old, but it was Vedas are actually orally transferred, later written down. But the Arya are considered the authors of the Vedas, and they give genesis to the language Sanskrit, in which these texts are written: Rig Vedic and later Vedic, which is Sam, Yajur, and Atharva. Sam, Yajur, and Atharva. It looks like Punjabi language. No, Punjabi language looks like it, not the other way around. Sanskrit was day-to-day language in India when Aryans. No, Sanskrit was developed by the Aryans when the internal dialects interacted with Indo-European language. Indo-European language plus indigenous dialects equals to Sanskrit. Now, what I've established to you, see, again, I'm telling you, this is academic level. I really could have said Aryans are a linguistic group which came to India and developed Sanskrit and Brahmi, and my job would have been done. I'm going into this whole complexity to explain something to you. If it makes sense, very good. If it doesn't, just remember in the examination, if it says Aryans are a linguistic or a racial group, the answer to that question is linguistic. That's it. When we'll talk about world history, I will tell you how Hitler changed it to a racial understanding and in turn led to a little bit of distortion of Aryan itself. That's a separate issue altogether. Sanskrit is not the mother of Indo-European language. Indo-European language is the mother of Sanskrit. That's it. You don't have to learn even Proto-European. You just have to remember Sanskrit was brought in by Aryans. Aryans are a linguistic group which migrated from Caspian Sea sector. End of story. Can I now talk about what will come in the examination more? If we see it today, then majority of people on earth are racially different, but majority speak English. That is called colonization. Dear SME, where we have sent out on tomorrow. Srakshana, you have to send it to islive@byju's.com. Okay. Can I move forward? Sir, means Aryan language and Indian language are those team neha. Yes, Aryan language is called Indo-European language. Yes, totally, yeah, totally. Which is the oldest language? In India, it is Sanskrit. Oldest language in the world is Indo-European language. Oldest language, however, is not even that. Oldest language is called cuneiform. That is the language of the Mesopotamians. So unfortunately, we don't get this medal also. So don't worry about that. Sir, what did the Indians spoke before Aryan invasion? Indus Valley Civilization language, but nobody knows what it is. Okay. Now, see, more important is not the language, it's the script. Language, everybody was speaking. They brought the script, Brahmi, which basically is decipherable. There must be some remains of Aryans in Central Asia. Yes. Iranian texts, Central Asian texts have the same gods. More than that, the same words appear in text in Rig Veda, in, for example, the Hittite language, in the same which is there in Central Asia. There's a lot to the story which is of no purpose to you because we are doing GS level. GS level, this is more than enough. Optional, if you'll go into, there are texts which are similar. Indra is not just projected in Vedas, he is projected in Iranian. There is also a god of thunder. And it's not, and I don't need to basically tell you how is it that Thor exists in Celtic, in what is called Nordic gods. There is Thor, which is the god of thunder. God of thunder and Indra is exactly the same thing. So the fact of the matter is there are multiple cultural Norse mythology or Gnostic mythology. The fact is there are multiple cultural understandings. Devanagari script is a derivative of Brahmi. Brahmi is the mother of all scripts in India. Be it Tamil, be it Malayali, be it any language in India, Brahmi script is the mother of all scripts, which I will tell you. So the fact of the matter is Zeus, Athena, how is that there's a god of, for example, there's a god of prosperity in what we call as the Greek mythology. And we also have a god of prosperity, Lakshmi. The god of what we call as mind or studies or what we call as wisdom, which is Saraswati. And there you have Athena. So these are not coincidences. These are actually connections which exist. Brahmi script also a product of regional plus Indo-European script. Are we all on the same page now? Because then what I really need to discuss with you is the cultural aspect. What is the Vedic period? Because that is what comes in the examination. We all are clear that there is an Aryan migration into India, which is of a linguistic group, which brings in Sanskrit and Brahmi, and in turn gives us the first language and first script which has been deciphered, and we enter into the historical phase. This historical phase is called the Vedic period. This Vedic period has been reconstructed. The history has been reconstructed. And my very simple, straightforward request to you is going to be, if you've heard something other than this on some random channel by some random person, don't quote it to me and don't quote it in the examination. Because there's a lot of misinformation about Aryans. Lot of people sitting there thinking that they are the specialist of it, but have no idea what they're saying. So, ongoing historical debate, you can take any side, but take the one which is more plausible. Vedic period is the history reconstructed via the reading of the Vedic texts. There's one text which is called Rig Veda, which is the earliest, dates between 1500 to 1000, and then there are the later Vedic texts. They are called Sama, Yajur, Atharva, and these date between 1000 to 600 BCE. 600, 500 different texts in different area. And this is called the early Vedic period. This is called the later Vedic period. And both have distinct cultures. Aryans wrote these texts. Aryans, linguistic group, Sanskrit and Brahmi, and the most important, they are pastoralists. Pastoralist means do animal husbandry. After Aryans came the Vedic period start, yes. Okay. Rig Veda written in which language? Sanskrit, Brahmi. It was not written. Vedic texts are transmitted mostly through speech, Shruti tradition. Art and culture we'll discuss. But it's written down in Sanskrit, Brahmi. Can we understand Rig Veda? Sure. If you understand Brahmi and you understand Sanskrit, if you can read this, you can understand Rig Veda. Sir, can I know how the analyzed? Because Kamalpal, what happens is when you start to bring in different cultural and different gods, they start to show similarities. And that is how different universities collaborate to create a certain Indo-European understanding. Okay. That is what is called like academic research. People have done research to connect these things. ये क्या लिखा है? It is written, give UPSC, clear the examination, don't get bogged down with things which don't matter. Right? ये लिखा है. Can we start analysis? Okay, perfect. And see, this is Brahmi script. This is Brahmi script. This is from where all of the scripts of India come out. All of these scripts come out. Now, let's discuss early Vedic period. Now, I'll tell you the purpose of this discussion already straightforward. Yes, Devanagari too. Devanagari is a very recent script, 1500. Don't worry. Devanagari too. Yes. Now, the purpose here is twofold. It's twofold, straightforward. One, in the examination, they can ask you statement-based questions in which they give you, consider the following with regards to early Vedic period, and they can give you statements, and you have to tell them which is the correct or incorrect first. Second, there can also be a comparative question in which discuss the later Vedic and early Vedic comparatively. So there can be questions on comparative analysis where one statement is early Vedic, other statement is later Vedic, which I will tell you again. And this time in 2023, GS paper 1, they linked this thing up with social issues. And basically, they asked that how Vedic period is the genesis of all social evils, which I always used to teach. But with the understanding I'm going to give you, you will be capable of writing an answer which can connect certain things together. That way, it's an important area, and I want you to concentrate here. Can we do that? Because now I will discuss political, economic, social, and we will keep on. I will reconstruct this whole period. We'll reconstruct this whole period. What are the contours and what are the features of this? Yes? Okay. Now, can you please code that question if possible? I will do that when you will be ready for it, Ekta. So don't jump the gun. Even if I code that question, it will happen. If you want me to code the question, 1 second. Low. 2023. 1 second. GS paper 1. Okay. The question is, what are the main features of Vedic society and religion? Do you think some of the features are still prevailing in Indian society? This is the question. Okay. Sakshi, don't bring in that. Let's first talk about economy. Now, after reading the Rig Veda, now what I'll do is I'll reconstruct this period in front of you, then we'll read it out of the PPT, then we'll move to later Vedic. After reading the Rig Veda, this is what I get to know about the early Vedic period. Now, if the Aryans were pastoralist, early Vedic people, what should be their projected economic activity? What should be their projected economic activity? They are pastoralists with limited agriculture. Pastoralism means animal rearing and there's no currency at this point of time, but the unit of wealth therefore would be cattle. The word go is used multiple times, and the unit of wealth was cattle. Basically, the more cattle you have, the more wealthy you are considered. Now, there is no trade, either internal or external. Now, is this a regression or a progression from IVC? This is a regression or a progression from IVC? It's a regression. And this is where we are able to see that IVC maybe had no connection with this period because if the IVC people had any connection with the Aryans, trade would have existed automatically. So they are not trading. They're not trading neither internal nor external. When we talk about economy, there is occupations of different sorts, which is craftsmen, or rather different occupations exist, such as craftsmen, what we call as animal rearers, potters, etc. Limited agriculture is there because we find words related to agriculture, and the idea of the economy is more the cattle, more the wealth, and occupations will always remain the same. This economic orientation, therefore, dictates the political. If there is limited agriculture, what would be the nature of state? They are doing craftsmanship for Shiva for themselves. It would be a little bit less than a mature state. We remember our thumb rule: only when proper agriculture develops, that mature state comes through. So because of pastoralism, polity is called tribal polity or chieftain chieftain. And the idea is very simple. The leader is called Rajan. It's called Rajan. And the Rajan is not hereditary or permanent. He is chosen by the people because of his experience and knowledge, and he's basically like the first amongst equals. Where else have you heard about this concept, first among equals? Where have you heard about this concept, first amongst equals? Yes, very good. Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the first amongst equals, which is the Council of Ministers. Very good. Now, Rajan is non-hereditary. Non-hereditary means that I am the Rajan, so my son is going to be the Rajan, then his son is going to be the Rajan. No. Rajan is selected because he's a good person and he's a very smart operator, knows a lot of experience. So very simply, a Rajan, the word itself, right now does not refer to divine kingship. It's not like he's the divine God sent person. No, he's basically chosen by the people. He's an elder. He could be an elder also, who knows how to manage things. For the same reason, there is no taxation. More importantly, there are wars. Wars are there between different tribes, but it would be for to acquire cattle. So this is basically called cattle raiding. I will write everything on one slide in the end. Don't worry. I'll consolidate. It's called cattle raiding. That you raid to basically get cattle out of it. There is one term which appears, which is called Bali, which is basically a voluntary offering to the Rajan, for appreciation. So you liked what he did, so you gave him some fruits. So there's no mandatory concept here. It's a voluntary offering. And the most important, Rajan is the protector of people and cattle. He does not protect land, he protects people. Because they still move around, they're semi-nomadic, because grazing lands will be gone. All this information comes from the reading of the Rig Veda. We have interpreted all of this by reading the Rig Veda, that this is the culture which is projected in it. We'll talk about that, Lakshay. Now, Rajan is non-hereditary, non-permanent, voluntarily gets something from the people, has no taxation, he's the protector of people, and he's there to acquire cattle. Any issue in this? Any issue in this? Okay, no issues. Now, the Rajan does not operate alone. Because he has two decision-making bodies under him. These are called the early democratic institutions in the subcontinent. They are called Sabha and Samiti, not Raj Sabha, Lok Sabha. Come on. Sabha and Samiti. Rajan is elected by the people, in a way. He's nominated by everybody. If everybody accepts, he becomes a Rajan. Now, Sabha is an exclusive body of elders who deliberate on administrative issues. Women are allowed in Sabha. So basically, if you are an elder, if you are the wisdom group of the Rajan, you are called the Sabha. Think of it like the Panchayat. The Panchayat is basically like the Sabha. And the Samiti is the collective body of all adult members of the tribe to deliberate about administrative matters. Women are allowed. You can talk, yes, in public admission selection, you can talk about this. Very known concept. What would be the equivalent to Samiti today? Can anybody tell me? There is an equivalent to Samiti today also. Very good, Abhijit. Very good, Anurag. Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha is everybody on the electoral roll who's an adult. So Sabha is the smaller body, Samiti is the bigger body. Sabha is only for the elder people having to deliberate with the Rajan. Rajan prescribes or presides over both of them. Samiti, on the other hand, is everybody who's in the tribe who's an adult. They all get a say in this. There's also one more body which is called Vidhata. But Vidhata is not an administrative body, it's a cultural body. Meaning, when the whole tribe meets to perform cultural, now I can see Anjali, cultural and religious ceremonies, it's called Vidhata. Basically, when the Samiti meets for cultural purposes, it is called Vidhata. Yamya, I'll talk about that. It's much more complicated than what you say. Samiti, legislative sabha is ministers. No. There's no legislature and executive here. Both are deliberative bodies. Both are councils attached to the Rajan. One is a smaller body, the other one is a bigger body. I did not see that, Anjali. Write them again. There are three bodies which are considered early democratic institutions in the Indian subcontinent. One is called Sabha, the one is called Samiti, the third is called Vidhata. Sabha is the exclusive body. How Rajan is elected? By consensus. If the Sabha and the Samiti meet, if they nominate a person, if everybody agrees, then sure. There's no election, there's no fighting, there's no politician here. Rajan is a responsibility. Not everybody wants to take it also. So very simply, Rajan is having two bodies, which is Sabha and Samiti as administrative bodies, and the Vidhata as a body which is a cultural body. When the Samiti meets for cultural purposes, it becomes Vidhata. Are we clear about these three bodies? Sabha, Samiti, Vidhata. Samiti is the collective body of all adult members of the tribe to deliberate about administrative matters. Women are allowed, women are allowed. Okay. From the question in recent mains, we write this again. I will tell you, Hemant, once I've completed Vedic age, then you will understand it. It's not the early Vedic they're asking about. They call it the later Vedic. In today's contest, we can see Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha as our Rajan is considered Prime Minister. No, because Prime Minister is not the part of the Raj Sabha. He's only part of the Lok Sabha. He can go and sit in the Raj Sabha. That is not how it works. Rather, it is the Panchayat and the Gram Sabha which is a better example. Sabha is cream, Sabha is cream, Sabha is milk. Why are you making it to a seaside question? I'm telling you, Sabha is Sabha, only elders. Samiti is everybody who's an adult. It was monarchy, now it is democracy. This is also not a monarchy. This is not called monarchical control. It's called tribal polity, chieftain. Chiefs are never monarchies. Monarchy means one person rule, hereditary. This is not hereditary. When PM can belong to Raj Sabha, is not simultaneously member of the Lok Sabha. Don't fight on polity with me. Don't. He can be only member of one house, not both the houses are simultaneously. So the genesis of democratic, in a way. But everything goes down south very quickly from here. Sabha Samiti different. Sakshi written in front of you. Sabha smaller body, Samiti bigger body. Sabha only exclusive elders, Samiti everybody who's an adult. Vidhata when cultural. I am going to now move forward. This train is now going to leave the platform. Can I move forward? Chiefdom, chieftain, same thing. Okay. Now, the Rajan also further divided his administrative control into levels, in the sense that it's not that the Rajan used to go and meet every household. The Rajan had a very beautiful system of levels in which he used to divide power. The biggest level is the Jan, where the Rajan basically is the one we are talking about 1500 to 1000. Where the Rajan is the most important, is the presider of the Jan, everyone. The Jan was then further divided into what are called Vis. Vis. And each Vis is having what is called a Visapati. Again. Abhishek, he was also the member of the Lok Sabha simultaneously. Jan means people. It is presumed that women are here also. Here, come on, women are allowed. Obviously, if they are part of Sabha Samiti, they are part of Vidhata also. Now, Visapati takes care of his own vis, and then under every vis, there used to be multiple grama. There could be multiple grama under a person called Gramani, and the lowest unit of control was the Kul under the Kulapati. Under the Kulapati. Basically, there are 4 levels here: Jana, Visa, Grama, Kula. Family, village, district, state. If you look at it like this, so this would be the household head, then you have the village head, then you have the DM, and then you have the CM. Think of it like this, that the power was not concentrated, or the Jana, the Kul, the Grihapati used to report to the Gramini used to report to the Vishpati, and the Vishpati used to report to the Rajan. And it's not that he did not have other officers with him. There used to be a Purohit, a priest, to help the Rajan when it came to religious matters. He had a Senapati for the wars. He had a Vrajapati. This you have to learn. Vrajapati, because he was the one who used to take care of the pastures. That wherever the cattle would go, and he would take care of the way the cattle was grazing to look for new pastures. Then you have the Ugra, a police type institution which used to look after the law and order of the Kula and the Grama. And you also have what is called the Spasa, which used to do spying on the other tribes, how many cattle they have. And last is the Dut, who used to send messages between the tribes itself. So very simply, when we talk about the early Vedic period, we have economy pastoralism, we have a cattle based society with cattle as well, no currency, no trade. And because it is not proper administrative control based on agriculture, the system is a tribal polity, where the Rajan is the protector of the people and the cattle. They fight for cattle. Voluntary grants are given to the Rajan, and the Rajan has multiple deliberative bodies. He has 3 bodies which helps him, 2 bodies which helps in administrative issues, and the third body in which everybody comes for cultural control. And there's also administrative levels. He's not just randomly, Rajan is not going to each and every household to manage, but there's a proper 4 level structure of how the power is distributed. Rajan would control multiple vis, a vis could control multiple graminis, and a multiple gramini could control kulapati. Kul is a word which we till today use. So are we clear about the political setup? There was no prime minister. No, prime minister is a very democratic European thing. Don't look for the prime minister for the next 10 to 15, maybe all classes. Okay. Senapati concept comes from here. Yes. The concept of a fighter. Are we clear about economy polity? Because the most interesting thing is then in the society. Are we all clear? Yes. Okay. Now. If the economy is basically pastoral, society, what would it exhibit? What would it exhibit? What would the society exhibit? The society would be simple or complex? Very good. It would be simple and not very complex because agriculture is not there. So, when we talk about society and religion, one important thing which I have to tell you here again is they know about iron but did not use it extensively. Meaning, early Vedic period, iron technology knowledge was known, and that is why Vedic period inaugurates the iron age in India also. Now society, the society is based on egalitarianism with differentiation or with stratification, with division based on occupations and work. Egalitarianism means economically equal. So division is there occupationally, but everybody has economic status equal. Now, the concept of family and marriages were becoming common, but patriarchy, which is domination of men, was still not fully formed. And therefore, though women are considered to be lower than men, but in certain cases they were equal. Women have access to education because we have women saints. For example, Lopamudra, Apala, Gargi, etc. And they also have access to economic resources, which is cattle. So basically, the society is Vishashwara. If you want to write, sure. The list is very long. I've given you the main names. Swamvara, totally. Society is egalitarian but occupationally divided, and women still have a okayish position to men when it comes to patriarchy and family. Anybody has any issue here? It's not that they can go out for earning, it is that they can have access to cattle. Anybody has any issue here? No issue? Okay. Now, when we talk about religion, religion is naturalistic and based on nature gods. Example, Indra, Varun, Vayu, Aditi, etc. Rains, water, air, what we call as fire, and Genesis. The fact of the matter is, religion is also not fully developed. Religion is developing, but still not institutionalized. So it's nature gods, standard things. The whole Rig Veda is Indra-centric, which is rain-centric, or god of thunder, or god of what we call. We have not found any archaeological evidences of temple and all. That we'll discuss in art and culture. No material remains are there. No material remains are there. Vayu, okay? Now, let's read this out of the PPT, and then I put it on one slide for you. The polity is chieftain. It is tribal in nature. No full-fledged monarchical state. The term Rajan, Pramukha, Jeshtha are used for the elder of the tribe. He is also called the Janasya Gopa. Janasya Gopa means the person who takes care of gaw or cattle. Protecting and increasing the number of cattle is his most important activity. He wages wars to protect cattle. In the Rig Veda, we have noted that there's Bali, a voluntary offering to the Rajan from the people. There's no system of taxation in proper sense. Then he has a whole structure of how he exercises his power, not directly, but through whole system of different intermediaries. And he has three institutions under him. Sabha, small elite gathering of tribal elders. Samiti appears to have been a larger member of all tribal members presided over by Rajan. Vidhata refers to a local congregation of people for religious rituals and sacrifices. These two are administrative bodies, and this is a cultural body. Women have access to all three. Now, economy wise, we have reference to horse, goat, sheep, but cattle was the most prized possession. Any infix, prefix, or suffix of go used to suggest that battles were being fighted for cattle, therefore cattle raids. Rudimentary agriculture was also there. We have found words such as vap, krish, fala, langala, which refers to plow and all agricultural instruments. Even kshetra means a cultivated field, but agriculture is limited. Agriculture is limited. Sabha, everywhere women are allowed. Women are allowed everywhere. R.S. Sharma has this issue that he has written this in the wrong sense. R.S. Sharma says Sabha women no access. But standard research today says it is women had access to everything. Bali is a voluntary offering to the king. We have hymns or shloks referring to warriors, priests, cattle rearers, farmers, hunters, barbers, miniatures. We have reference to carpenters, metal workers, tanning workers, bow and arrow, weaving, making mats. All these are the different occupations. Do not learn. And barter was the mode of exchange, because though we have words like nishka or we have words like very heavy gold necklaces and piece of gold are referred as nishka, but no currency. Very interesting thing, in Rig Veda, there is reference to two words, dasa and dasi, which basically refers to people as slaves. People who have become slaves because of debt. Debt. Basically, I wanted cattle, but I have nothing to pay you, or I have nothing to change with you. So I will work for you for free. So think of it like this, that you go to a restaurant, eat a lot, but then you don't have money. What will the restaurant make you do? There is no trade, Ishita. What will the restaurant make you do? They will make you wash the utensils. Now, basically, what you are at that point of time is a dasa and a dasi. That till you don't pay off your food through dasa dasi, through debt, you are basically a slave to them. So dasa dasi is not in the connotation of what we see in Europe. This is a very interesting understanding, wherein if I don't have anything to give you in barter, I give you my service. So it says result of debt or course of war, which is that if you then fight with some other tribe, they have nothing to give you, so you make them dasa dasi. Over a period of time, you will make them free, but dasa dasi tradition still existed. When we talk about society, we have multiple words for the household. It is patriarchal and patrilineal, but not fully formed. Not fully. Patrilineal means that we take our mother's surname or father's surname. We take whose surname? We take father's surname. That is called patrilineality. That father side lineage is counted. If you take your mother's surname, then it's called matrilineality. So we are patriarchal, patrilineal. Many types of marriages are referred to also. Monogamy, which is one husband, one wife. Polygamy and polyandry, which is one husband, multiple wives, one wife, multiple husbands. And we have multiple references to women having access to education. Gargi, Visheshwara, Apala, Swayamvara, Lop Mudra, and it's an egalitarian society with occupational differentiation. Now, what I want to do here is I want to consolidate. What I want to do is I want to consolidate. Can I consolidate? No, no, Ishita, no. Can I consolidate it on one slide? What you have to remember for the examination. We then take a break, we come back and then talk about later Vedic. Okay. So, early and when we're done with later Vedic, we'll put later and early on one slide. Early Vedic period. Let's talk about all the points. Pastoralist economy with limited agriculture, iron technology known but not iron technology known but not used extensively, which means that the Aryans knew iron. That is what it makes them different from IVC also. Thereafter, cattle is the unit of value. No no taxation, only Bali as a form of voluntary offering. Chieftain, rather will write no taxation, tribal polity with chief as Rajan, non-hereditary, non-permanent, no currency, only barter. Very good. No currency, barter system. Thereafter, 6. Tribal polity with chief as Rajan, non-hereditary, non-permanent. Then you have Rajan as protector of people and cattle. People and cattle. Wars for cattle. Sabha, Samiti and Vidhata are 3 institutions attached to the Rajan. 8. Women have access to all 3 bodies. Naturalistic religion with nature gods. Early patriarchal and lineal society, then 11 egalitarian society with occupational differences. Very good. Dasa Dasi tradition. Dasa Dasi tradition prevalent. Any other point you want to add? Concept of family marriages. Okay. Concept of family and marriages. Fourfold division of administration. Jana vis grama kula. Clear, everybody? You want to write that also? Sure. 15 women. Done. Naturalistic religion, 9th point. If you can remember these 15 points, we take a break, we come back, we do later Vedic, and then we make a table and consolidate everything. Women education, women have access to 3 bodies, women have access to education, women have access to education. 4th point, no taxation, only Bali as a voluntary offering to the Rajan. That's it. Okay, done. Dasa Dasi, form of debt bondage. Commander and all, don't write the terms. That will make it too hodgepodge. How, if there was no trade, how can it be barter? People exchanging. It's not that tribes are trading between each other. People are exchanging. How to learn all such things? By understanding and by learning. Learn points, 2 to 3 points every day. Okay. So we take a break here. We come back at 6:55 and we'll take the story forward. Done? Done. Okay, perfect. So I leave you on this slide. Welcome back. Welcome back. Barley could be anything. Fruits, grains, anything. Shabir, let me one check once. Wait. 10 to 8. Weekend batch. What type of finding we reached to the conclusion that exists in a canon? Divya, because the text, Rigvedic text, itself talks about a lot of things and it concentrates on these ideas. So, when we read later Vedic, there's a major shift. But Rig Vedic, there's a lot of emphasis on these terms. Okay. Can we now move to later Vedic? Early Vedic, clear everybody. No, Sachin. Okay. Now we move to later Vedic period, which basically pertains between 1000 to, in some places you'll find 500, in some places you'll find 600. I'll write both. Now, let's talk about economy. And as soon as you will see the economy, our left hand thumb rule will come in, which is the Neolithic thumb rule. Economy becomes agriculture, becomes main economic activity. So if agriculture becomes main economic activity, wealth will be big because of cattle or because of what? It will be because of land. Very good. Okay. Agriculture, agriculture. Use of iron in the agricultural tools. Unit of wealth becomes land. Holding land is about holding power, holding economic power. And cattle becomes secondary to land. One thing which persists between later early Vedic and later Vedic is the fact that no trade, internal or external, and no currency, still barter system. Occupations remain the same, but egalitarianism is fading away. And if you have been referring to the terminologies I've been using previously, I always say that land or agriculture is like poison. Have I used this word? That agriculture is poison? That sometimes agriculture can actually destroy a lot of things and it is like poison? And this is where you will see how why do I call it poison? Because later early Vedic period is egalitarian, occupational differentiation, chief, democratic. But as soon as agriculture comes, first thing is that land becomes an important resource rather than cattle. And agriculture, if you remember, the thumb rule says what? If there will be agriculture, there will be surplus, there will be surplus, there will be complex society, there will be complex society, there will be early state. But in the later Vedic period, politically, the biggest shift happens. Politically, the biggest shift happens, which is because of agriculture, monarchies or monarchs emerge, which is kings who are hereditary and permanent. And the Rajan now is not the protector of land, or is not the protector of cows and people, but he's the protector of territory. Territory or land. Wherein territorial kingship emerges. Territorial wealth of the later Vedic period is land, Jameen. And now holding territory really matters. Holding territory really matters. Over and above that, Bhaga is the land taxation emerges. Bhaga could be 1/6 to 1/10 of produce that you give. Out of 60 kgs, if you produce 10 kgs, you have to give to the king. And now Bali becomes a mandatory offering to the king of different resources. So you can see that the real politics is now emerging. The real king is now emerging. Rajan is now becoming more and more powerful, and the king now has become hereditary. His son is going to become the next king itself, and he's now not the protector of people. No. He's not the protector of people. He's the protector of land. So with land comes taxation, and for the first time in Indian history, taxation emerges in the form of bhag. Bhag means share. मुझे इतना भाग चाहिए. Bhag means share. And what is even more interesting is Sabha now is nominated by the king. Samiti and Vidhata are diluted and later disbanded. Wherein democratic institutions are now fading away. Because the king does not care about the people, he cares about his territory. But the most dangerous thing which emerges vis-a-vis polity is called ritualized kingship. Wars are for capturing territory. or more land. Ritualized kingship means king and purohit, which is priest, developed a very intimate bond. Previously, what was the criteria to be a Rajan? What was the criteria to be a Rajan previously? What is the criteria to be a Rajan? Experience. Now, you have become king. You have become king. Now, how do you justify being a king? That is the issue. So now the king says, I am king because this priest says I am a king. The Purohit spoke to God. मैं पंडित पुरोहित priest, I spoke to God. उनने बोला yes, he is your king. Basically, this is called the nexus between the king and the priest. The divinity of God, that God sent me. This is called manipulation now. This is called legitimization through God. That I was sleeping, Purohit, God came to me and said, this man is your king. Yes, correct, ekdam, stamp. This is called ritualized kingship. And that is why they now have to do a drama. And that drama happens in 3 ways. One is called Ashwa Medha Yagya. Yajna. Then other Raj Suya Yajna. And the Vajpaya Yagya. Now basically under Ashwamedha Yagya, what happens is that the king does what is called a horse sacrifice. And the concept was, I will sacrifice a horse, showing that God himself wanted a horse. And then what was done, that a horse and a doot and a person were asked to run into the forest. Until the point they could run and nobody used to actually stop, that was the territory of the king. Rajsuya Yagya is called the coronation ceremony. Coronation ceremony means Abhisheka ceremony. That the son of the king becomes the king. That the Purohit now again calls God and says, his son is coming. Is he okay? He says, yes, totally perfect. He also has my Ashirvad. That is the Rajsuya Yagya. That God has sanctioned the succession of this ruler. And then comes the Vajpaya. Vajpaya is basically a sport which is called chariot racing. You would have seen that Rath racing, chariot racing. Chariot racing, the winner has lunch with the king. Basically, all 3 are big dramas which are being done to show to the people, okay, the king is not king because he is experienced. The king is not king because he is knowledgeable. The king is not king because he is first among equals. The king is divine. He is shadow of God on earth itself, and the Purohit knows that. The Purohit knows that. And it is here that the nexus between the Purohit and the king develops, and I will tell you what it will actually in turn lead to. This is called the divine ritualized kingship. Does this make sense? How agriculture is actually poison. Agriculture makes land as the most important resource. By making land as the most important resource, now the king does not care about the people but his territory. By becoming territorial, he becomes hereditary and permanent. He now takes a tax, and when he takes a tax, he does not want democratic institutions, and now he has to justify his rule. That is justified through ritualized kingship. But the biggest change will happen in the social and the religious. Can I discuss that? Okay, now comes the most interesting part. You will see it's literally beautifully logically linked. And this is why UPSC asked a question out of this area, because the genesis of all social evils in India is here in this moment. I will tell you. See how. Socially and religiously, socially and religiously, first religion of Indian subcontinent emerges, and that is called Vedic Brahmanism. It's called early Hinduism. I will make a distinction to not call it Hinduism, because Hinduism is a product of Bhakti movement plus the Puranic Hinduistic practices of Gupta period. Vedic Brahmanism is a religion which is based on the Vedas and is ritual and sacrifice centric. Meaning, I did something, ritual. I did something, do a sacrifice. I did something, give dakshina to the Brahmin. I want to do this. I want to appease this person. Ritual, sacrifice, ritual, sacrifice. Anything you want to do, you have to do a sacrifice. You have to do a ritual. Do Soma sacrifice, do this sacrifice, do that sacrifice. Sacrificial centric religion is Vedic Brahmanism, which Hinduism isn't. And the biggest thing which Vedic Brahmanism produced is something which in India till persists. Fourfold Varna system was institutionalized. Vedic Brahmanism now divided the society into Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This is called four Varnas, non-mobile, rigid. Meaning, either you control knowledge, either you control power, or you are a commercial class, commercial and economic, or you are the maintainer. The fourfold Varna system was produced in the later Vedic texts via the first religion of India, which is the Vedic Brahmanism. And the biggest issue is that this whole structure gives you a position which cannot be changed. It is a hierarchical system. It's a hierarchy, and it is where Shudras start to be socially excluded and discriminated against. Please do not use the word caste, because caste will come in the post-Mauryan period. Right now, it is socially exclusionary practices of the Shudra period, of the Shudra community, and now the biggest evil based on certain notions of purity will now start to exclude the Shudra community. There's no mobility, means that you cannot change your status if you are born into one. If you are a Shudra, you will remain a Shudra. If you are a Kshatriya, you will remain a Kshatriya. Means Varna system did not emerge from Hindu religion. This is Hinduism only. Why? You are trying to wash your hands of it. No. Vedic Brahmanism, which is early Hinduism, is the genesis of all problems related to society itself. The fact is, first religion in the Indian subcontinent emerges, which is Vedic Brahmanism, and that Vedic Brahmanism will then thereafter produce the fourfold Varna system, which is the division of of the ideas of Brahmanism, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Vedic Brahmanism written in which book? Upinder Singh. You want page number? I'll get you page number also. I'm not making this up. So you will not find it in standard books, for example, like R.S. Sharma. But when you will go to specialized level of understanding, it's called Vedic Brahmanism. I can call it early Hinduism, but I will not call it Hinduism, because Hinduism is not ritual and sacrifice centric. It is quite diluted. This is, Varna is not based here in occupation. It is based on birth. There is a very big justification which a lot of people give you, even your anthropology and sociology teachers will give you, that Varna started as occupational, then it became Varna system. Sure, it was occupational. Everything was occupational. But when it was previously, you could become a Brahmin, you could become a Kshatriya, you could become a Vaishya. These are rigidity based. They cannot be changed, and they never will be changed. If you are born into one, you are like that. Did discrimination happen at this stage? Yes. The Shudras cannot do any rituals. The Shudras cannot wear the sacred thread. The Shudras cannot do any sacrifices. So the simple point is, was certification was done that people should believe in priest only and not knowledge? No. The Brahmin is the knowledge producer. He is the only one who understands the Vedas. So obviously he will accord himself the first position. And the nexus which you are seeing here is between these two. A new nexus will emerge between these two, where the Kshatriya's power will be justified by the Brahmin, and the Brahmin will get money from the Kshatriya. 100 Brahmins to be fed. Where will the Brahmin get the money from? He will get it from the Kshatriya. Fourfold Varna system is a product of Vedic Brahmanistic practices which emerged in the later Vedic period. Are we clear? Yes, Chandranath, it is spreading in the northern sector itself. We are right now only talking about North India. There is no in South India, there is something called megalithic, but they will also start to get Varna system. Are we clear? Are we clear? The Vedic Brahmanism produces the concept of fourfold Varna structure, and fourfold Varna structure is not a good system. It is a system of social exclusion and discrimination. If we are clear, then I will tell you what happens to women, because there is what happens the worst, and that is why UPSC asked this question. What are the main features of Vedic society? They were basically talking about this period. And they asked, do these systems still persist? Yes, they do. Caste, don't use the word. Caste, you don't know what you mean by caste. I know what I mean by caste. So don't use the word caste right now. Was it first occupational, then it was followed? Sure, but it does not justify discrimination. See, understand this point. Yes, it is occupational differentiation. But today I want to be a teacher. Tomorrow I want to be a MLA. Can I be that? Can I be an MLA tomorrow? Though I'm too qualified to be an MLA, I should study less. But I have the chance to change my occupation. I have the chance to change my occupation. But if a person is born into the Vaishya community, can he then go and say, I want to study the Vedas, teach me the Vedas? Will he be allowed to do that? No. So therefore, the people who say it was occupational, then it automatically got crystallized. Sure, occupational, very good. Crystallization is not a good thing. That you are born into the same system itself. Once, see, it was initially occupational, then it becomes by birth. If you are a Brahmin, you will remain a Brahmin. If you are a Kshatriya, you will remain a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, 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 Brahmin, 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 Brahmin. So Varna system is a what is called as a closed system, rigid system. Each of them is a closed, compartmentalized concept itself. In early Vedic period, there is occupational differentiation. But if a person wants to be a cattle rearer and he wants to then go and become a goldsmith, he can do that. That form of what is called, see, this is called social mobility and economic mobility. There is no social or economic mobility. That is what I'm trying to argue. When the early Vedic is egalitarian, then how it became socially divided? What is the answer to the question which Sadhana has asked? When early Vedic is egalitarian, how it became socially divided in later Vedic period? What is the answer to that question? It is called the poison called agriculture. When you add into a society agriculture, it will create social division. That is why land and agriculture is very dangerous. I will tell you about women and you will then actually understand what I'm trying to say. Can I talk about women? Because there is the real story comes from women. Okay, now. When we talk about women, women were the biggest losers in this system. Have you ever imagined why is that in all agrarian societies, women are the most oppressed? Have you ever tried to understand this? The tribal women are very empowered. But for example, go to Haryana, go to UP, go to Punjab, agrarian, pure agrarian systems. In pure agrarian systems, patriarchy is literally the strongest. Why? Because women are a problem in a system where land is a resource. Women will lose both. Women lose access to education and economic resources. The fact that women cannot own land, and this is, I'll tell you why. The reason is when a woman gets married, she remains in the same family or goes to the different family? Remains in same family, goes to the next family. Different family. So if there is land and it has to be divided equally between A, B, C, and D, and out of that D is a daughter. If land is the basis of all power and resources, if D leaves the society, if D leaves the family, she takes this land to the next family. So it could lead to fragmentation. And therefore, in order to avoid fragmentation of land, women's access to resources were taken away. And therefore, women became literally subordinated to men. Women's subordination to men and subjugation is starting in this period. That is why UPSC asked you that question. That do these things still persist in India today? Yes, they do. Every social evil, when it comes to women and when it comes to Shudra community, when it comes to depressed classes, when it comes to any form of discrimination, the genesis is in the later Vedic period. Later Vedic period destroyed women's access to education, because if she gets educated, she will ask questions. And in an agrarian agri society and economy, women patriarchy is the strongest. This is the harsh reality of the later Vedic period. This is the harsh reality of the later Vedic period. Agriculture is that poison that literally poisons every relationship. Yes, it is. It is economic. Agriculture leads to surplus, leads to land, leads to state. When state becomes land centric, people want land. If land is going to get fragmented, if the woman leaves, women's access to land will be taken away. If you do a sociological study of all societies in the world today, in every society where there's limited agriculture, women will always have more power. Women will always have more power, or at least access to something for sure. I told you, thumb rule. It's literally like a formula. You apply agriculture and you see the magic happening. And that is why I called it poison, because it literally slowly but surely starts to discriminate against certain people. Social exclusionary practices will come in. And you will see that the next module, which I'll be introducing to you, which is Buddhism, Jainism, the reason why Buddhism, Jainism will emerge, which are two new religions in India, is because of this only. Yes, women go to other house because of patriarchy. First there is patriarchy, then there's fragmentation. Yes, patriarchy always existed, even in the early Vedic period. But when patriarchy starts to crystallize, the fact is, with crystallization, accessibility is removed. So then how other Asian countries at the time also these kinds of classification? Because China was agrarian, Japan was not agrarian. So you look at Japanese society. China was agrarian. Do women in China have power? No. Go to Southeast Asia. Go to any place where agriculture will become agrarian, societies will always restrict the power of women. This is a rule. Then this is no, feudalism is a totally different thing. All these words I will introduce to you, Ravi. If you actually understand what I'm doing is I'm telling you your story. Step by step, bit by bit, 1 point by 1 point. This is where all social evils in India have evolved into or have come about. And this is why the question, I'll read the question out to you. You tell me, can you write this mains question or not? The question is, what are the main features of Vedic society and religion? Do you think some of the features are still prevailing in Indian society? Do you understand that is this question actually difficult? This question is not difficult. It's just asking you to write the exact same thing I've actually given you here. And the answer to the question, yes, yes. Ancient in mains too, it's an exception. But this question is actually not of ancient, it's a question of social issue and history. But the point is, I am giving you that much level of understanding that you can write this type of questions also. The simple point is that they didn't revolt at the time because fear of faith in God. No. Who do you revolt to? Patriarchy is the domination of women by men. Lakshya, this revolt, the protest thing is your 2023 fundamental right speaking. Who do you? Who do you go and protest to? If you understand this, what I want to do now is consolidate, wait early and later in one slide, back to back, and then move to the next topic, which is Mahajanpadas. Patriarchal notions emerge from agricultural societies only. No. Patriarchal notions emerge in societies automatically based on division of labor, but the strength of that patriarchy matters on what system they follow. It's about how much degree will be there. Sir, was this question of social issues the concept of evolution? Yes, it's an evolution in a society concept. In a way, Shiva, yes. Stratification of society spoiled women's status. Yes. We don't do Buddhism today, but we'll discuss the pretext of it for sure. Do we see actual beginnings of patriarchal society in the Lithic ages? No. Lithic ages, no evidences of that. Yes, Nikhil, you can do that. Varna tax patriarchy replicated in modern society. Beautiful. Okay. Patriarchy is indoctrination, Namrata. That is how it works. Agriculture and land made foundation every social evil. Yes. After humiliation of Shudra. Again, Lakshya, you are talking about, see, protesting, going against the system is go against the system. You'll be shot, you'll be killed. There's no protest, there's only death. In Vedic period, people are equal. Women hold strong position. So how can it be called patriarchy? Early Vedic sadhana, we call it because familial notions are still based on patrilineality. Women still goes to the husband's house, which is basically patriarchy early form. Sir, it means they were not allowed to participate in political system. That is obvious. Okay, can I consolidate this in one slide, please? I'll read it out to you also. Emergence of monarchical systems. Later Vedic texts reflect a transition from tribal polity-based lineage to territorial state. The Rajan of the later Vedic text is a leader in battle and and also a protector of settlements and the peoples, especially the Brahman. So you see, he protects the Brahmin. He is the protector of settlements. He is the custodian of social order and of the system of Rashtra, the concept of Rashtra, the concept of territory. Now, territorial kingship was now emerging with hereditary kingship. That my son is going to automatically become the next ruler. Okay. What exactly patriarchy means here? Men dominating women is patriarchy. It means the same everywhere. Ritualized kingship comes in Ashwamedh, Vajpaya, Rajsuya. We live in a patriarchal society today. We literally live in a patriarchal society. You may not think it is there, but for the women in the class, they would know very, very well. We are in a proper patriarchal system. And as much as we think that Varna notions and social discrimination and these are things have gone away, they still exist. So, ritualized kingship wherein Ashwamedh, Vajpaya and Rajsuya sacrifices emerge. Vidhata will completely disappear. Sabha Samita will hold ground, but Samiti will later cease to exist itself. Sabha will be now chosen by the king rather than being everybody a part of it. Obviously, women will not get access to any of these. Tax collection was deposited to an officer called Sanagrihi. Bhaga 1/10 to 1/6 of the produce. So now taxation also emerges. Thereafter, the terms again change and you have to learn them, but I'll tell you which ones. For example, Bhaga Dugha. Bhaga is the tax, Dugha is the one who collects it. So one, Bhaga Dugha. The difference between a Sanagrihi and a Bhaga Dugha is he is basically the IT officer. Bhaga Dugha is like the RBI. It collects all the taxes. Then you have the Purapati, the person who takes care of the cities. Then you have Suta. This is a very important word. He is the one who writes the history. History of the ruler is written by the Suta or the Magadha. And you have now a new important concept. Ashwapa. Ashwapa, because he's an accountant. He counts the grains which are coming in, everything. And last but not the least, the thapati, which is the person who takes care of justice and governor. He takes care of the people under the rajan itself. Learn the terms which I marked first, then later. How do you learn it? 15 minutes rule, one each day. If you will remember, you will never forget. Enough time is to learn each one each day. There are only 2 3 themes where there are a lot of terms. This is one. Then Mauryas is the heaviest. Thereafter it's all theoretical in that sense. Thereafter, agriculture and use of iron will emerge. We have reference to, again, don't have to learn this, barley, wheat, rice, reaping, sowing, threshing, everything is referred to. Land was now occupied by extended family, and land becomes important. Concentration of wealth in the hands of the rulers and exchange between king and priest becomes important. We have again reference to different occupations. All of them were pushed into the Vaishya community. Wagons drawn by oxen were used for transportation. Chariots were also referred to. Exchange still via barter, no coinage. And we have reference to different types of land now. For example, you have most fertile kshetra, then a word which you till today use, which is apaharta, forest. Then khila. Khila is land which is not good. Khila is a word which is till today used, wasteland. Khila. On what basis patriarchy is defined? There is no basis and all. When women get dominated by men, it is patriarchy. That's it. There's no basis, this, that. When men dominate women, it is patriarchy. Patrilineality is when the lineage of the man is followed. Crystallization of Varna identity, social discrimination, and subordination of women. Marriage now becomes properly patrilineal. Husband and wife and father and son relationship becomes hierarchical. Women became increasingly identified in terms of men, and motherhood and wifehood became more important. The Grihapati had control over everything, which is productive resources also, and the reproductive capacity of the woman also. And therefore, let us now consolidate these two periods together in one slide itself. Can I do that? Everybody is with me till this point. Is this difficult to understand? Is this very difficult to digest? Are you understanding? This is your story. This is your story, how everything goes forward in that sense. It is all logically linked. A formula is applied and automatically you get the answer to it. Yes? Okay, beautiful. Okay. So let us now discuss it in a comparative sense. It should interest you because this is your history, nothing big, nothing more. This is you as you are today. Okay. I hope that when you started this, you did not think ancient history is going to be like this. Early Vedic period, later Vedic period. Lot of misconception about history. It is much more logical than what you think it is. Okay. Yeah, you just watch the video again. Don't worry. This is recorded. You can watch it again. You take care. Patriarchy begins in the end of primitive accumulation. इशिता बहुत बड़ा वर्ड यूज कर दिया. Primitive accumulation, dialectical materialism, Marxian notions. Don't do that. I know you know, but you are dialectical materialism or materialistic view of history is also not right. So now this will sound like an alien language to most of you, and it's just between me and Ishita. The problem in dialectical materialism is that if you are going to be historically reductionist, and if it is going to be economic reductionism, then in turn it will be that you will reduce everything to economic values, therefore society will become economy. So if you understand what I said, then you will not use it again. If you didn't understand it, then you don't understand Marxism. So Marxism is something which I will teach you in world history. Right now, don't bring in your optionals, because I know what you're doing in optional also. And sociology optional, anthropology optional is a subset of history optional. So what you teach, what you study, Durkheim, Althusser, and all these people there, they are derivatives of structuralism, post-structuralism, this and that. So good, primitive accumulation is actually not this, or primitive communism is also not like this. Primitive communism is hunting gathering societies, not this. And more than that, Marxian theory is not for India. It is a Eurocentric understanding. So, Ishita, if you can decode what I said, perfect. If you can't, have to wait a little bit. Right? Okay. Now, did this make sense to you, Ishita? What optional is yours? So, can we write later Vedic territorial centric? Ah, yes. I'll tell you. What is your optional? That will explain that question or answer to me. PSI यार, हाँ वो पता है. Political theory, art is वो Aristotle, Plato, you will bring in. That all is very Eurocentric. It's all based on the ideas of Europe. Will not apply to India. That is something which the PSIR teacher would have taught you or should have told you. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's divide it into boxes and it will make more sense. Okay. Keep on murmuring this in your mind or keep on saying it with me. That is why I am silent. You read it out in your mind or you're in front of the screen. Keep on doing it. It will help you in learning again as we are going about it. We cannot see. I am writing, I can see. Okay. I'll use extensively. Can we move to polity? A lot of your points will go into polity. Okay. Mandatory offering Bali. Okay. Now, early Vedic, later Vedic. Sixth point, I don't understand. Early Vedic. Bali is something which you offer to the king if you are very happy with him. It's a basically voluntary offering. That will become mandatory by the time we come to later Vedic. Okay. War for cattle, this will come here. Ananya, the fifth and sixth point, occupational differences. Bali as a voluntary offering to the king or Rajan, no trade. When this will become the annotated PPT, everything will be there. If you're writing it down, I'm telling you. Okay. The real magic is here. Due to his experience and knowledge, war for cattle, non-hereditary, protector of cattle and people, non-permanent, Sabha Samiti Vidhata are strong. And Rajan has no connection with Purohit or priest. Okay. Okay. You want to add that point? Now, territorial kingship. Rajan is the hereditary king. And is based on or justifies his rule via ritualized kingship, Ashwamedh, Rajasuya, and Vajpayee. Then Purohit or Brahmin king nexus. War is for territory, taxation, Sabha nominated, and Samiti and Vidhata disbanded. Protector of territory and Brahmin, not cattle or people. Democratic institutions fade away. Okay, this is fine. Then we go to society. Done? Okay. Were people able to change their occupation in early Vedic period? Yes, why not? Early Vedic, later Vedic. Egalitarian based on occupational differences. Naturalistic religion based on Vedic nature gods. Women have access to education and economic resources. Family and marriages emerge. Patriarchy and patrilineality emerging. Women now comes the horror picture. Vedic Brahmanism based on rituals and sacrifices. Social discrimination and social exclusion of Shudras. No mobility and rigid. Women lose access to education and economic resources. Women subjugated to men. Patriarchy fully emerges. Women are and women's role as mother and wife emphasized. Done. Theme. Will you be able to write any of this in the examination if needed? And are you capable of answering that question? This is not the first time I'm doing it. Every batch, every time I do it like this. And you are capable of having theoretical knowledge also, writing knowledge also, descriptive knowledge also. So nobody has no issue in Vedic period. Yes. Okay. 100%. So then we go to the, we introduce the concept of 6th century BC and not do anything which cannot be completed today. I need only your 15-20 minutes. That's it. Okay. Now, you want to breathe a little bit. Timeline Monday. Okay. Giving you a minute. Breathe. Will you do previous questions today? Can't be done. Cannot be done because if you have to do previous questions, you need to cover one more module. Buddhism, Jainism. How to write fastly? How to write fast? Practice. I'm basically writing on glass. This is a vacuum. It's glass. You can write much faster than me. You need practice. Okay. Now, paper writing is much faster. Charvaka, Varvaka, 6 schools of philosophy, art and culture. Can we write in answer the majority of social evils? Yes, yes, why not? Fact is a fact. Oh, Karaku. Good to see your message. Okay, next topic. Breathe nahi karna hai. Chalo, very good. Okay, very good. Later Vedic is also, yeah, all this is prelims only. By chance, they gave a question this time. UPSC does this googly every time, something new, not an out of the box question. It's an easy question. Okay. Now see, there is the later Vedic period has given birth to monarchical territorial states which are based on agriculture. And now that they have access to iron, the most fertile territory in India is in the northwest sector or in northern India, which is from UP to Bengal. Is in the northern sector, which from Haryana till Bengal. And therefore, what we see is that agrarian expansion happens, and it is called eastward movement, wherein forests of the northern plains will be cleared via iron, and what we get is rise of new territorial kingdoms, and they were called the 22 Janapadas. Janpad means the pad, meaning feet of people. 22 Janapadas. The 22 different political structures which emerged. Iron implements leads to clearing of forest, means they enter the Doab region. Now, wherever I say Doab, I mean Ganga Yamuna area in between that. See, Doab word comes from Ab means water. दो आब, दो पानी के बीच का area, which is two waters, which is basically the Ganga Yamuna plains. Now, this leads to eastward expansion, more surplus production, and more state formation and complex society. This is 222 Mahajanpad, 16 Mahajanpad. I know what I'm saying, don't worry. The point is this process from iron implement to eastward expansion to complex society. Is this something new other than what we saw in Neolithic? Are you able to understand that the more agriculture will happen, the more complex society will become, the more the crystallization will happen, the more the surplus will be produced, the more the polity will become stronger. So very simply, first 22 Janapads emerge and they fight amongst themselves, and consolidation happens into 16 Mahajanapadas. Milieu means situation, change in situation. These 16 Mahajanpads will emerge, and if you look at their location, you will realize that their location is now totally different. They're not in the northwestern sector, they are now in the heart of North India, and it's very North Indian centric. I will first reach till Maurya, then I'll start the South Indian story with you also. The point of the matter is that what we see during this period is that the Mahajanpads will now establish themselves properly in the northern Indian sector, which is the most fertile area. Now, these 16 Mahajanpads, I'll tell you what to learn. First, listen to me. These 16 Mahajanpads also are not of one type. There are 11 which are monarchies. Monarchy means one person rule. Janpad means political structure. Mahajanpad means big political structure. Janpad, Mahajanpad. That's the point. Now, monarchy means one person rule, and these are called Gana Sanghas, which is oligarchy, rule of few. Now, tell me one thing. In these 11 or in these 5, where would agriculture be the strongest? In these 11 or these 5? In the 11. The reason why there are monarchy is because agriculture is more strong. And these are rule of few because agriculture is a little bit open, little bit okayish. Now, a very smart UPSC aspirant will learn the 11 names or the 5 names. 5, not 11. See, in the examination, they can ask you, consider the following. Which of the following are the Ganasanghas? Or which of the following are the monarchies? If you learn these 5, you don't have to learn these 11. But I'll tell you what to learn. Here I can give you a very simple acronym. This is called mnemonics. It will help you. You can have, like, for example, Kupa, Kamvema, Kuru, Panchal, Khamboj, Vajji, Mala. Don't make KPKVM because you will not know what the K and K mean. And there are Ks here also. KK. Keep it 2 to 3 words so that you can remember it better. Kupa, Kamvempa or Kamvema, which is 5 of the Mahajanpadas. But I've done one more thing. The Janpads listen. Early monarchical systems lead to agrarian expansion, leads to eastward movement. Eastward movements leads to more agriculture, and therefore Janapad comes in. Janpad is political structure, 22 small political structures. These consolidate themselves to 16 Mahajanpad. Don't act like an American or a Britisher that you don't understand what is Janpad. Janpad. Jan means people, pad means feet. Where the people stand, the state is. And therefore, 22 Janpad becomes Mahajanpad. Maha means big. So I don't get it how you can't make it out. There are 16 Mahajanpadas which exist across India, which exist across northern India. Now, if I told you the first way to remember them is 5, which are Gana Sanghas. The other ways to remember, can I tell you that? And then we talk about Magha, then we stopped. And then we stop. Yes. The other way you remember it is I've given you these 2 maps. One this. This is the NCERT map. And I've also given you these tables. For the people who don't trust me or have an obsession to learn everything, I've given you these tables. You have the capital, the Mahajanpad, everything given. UPSC hasn't asked a question out of this area, but people tend to hyperventilate over it. That, oh, what if they ask? So the tables are for your learning if you want to learn. For the people who do not want to learn and basically want to be smart here, see, learn the extremities. Kamboj, Gandhara, northernmost. Anga, easternmost. Thereafter, Ashmaka and Avanti. These are southernmost. And in that sense, they also become westernmost. You can see it here. Kamboj, Gandhara, northwestern sector. Avanti, Ashmaka, southern. Matsya, if you want to go for westernmost, then you have Surasena and Matsya. And Anga, and sometimes also called Vanga, is the easternmost. This is the only thing which you need to know about. Everything else comes in between, and the most powerful is the Magad sector, which I have to discuss with you. Why is Magad so powerful? I have told you, I have given you this map, I have given you this table, I have given you all these things. If you trust, just learn the north, south, east, west. I would rather want to talk about the Magad sector. Can I discuss Magad? Milieu means situation, political milieu, political situation. Okay. 22 Janpads were expanding into the northern sector. Mahajanpads gets consolidated into the northern sector itself. Okay, now you see. Out of all of them, the 16 Mahajanpads, Magad, Kosala, Vatasya and Avanti are the most powerful. But the most powerful is Magad. Magad had 4 advantages. Magad had 4 advantages as a Mahajanpad, which allowed it to be the most powerful in any way or form. In any way or form, it became powerful because of that. First advantage with Magad had was location. Magad is based on a plateau, and therefore it always had a higher ground. It always had a higher ground. It was on higher ground. And if you are fighting wars, it is always better to be on a higher ground. So the Magad can actually see anything in and around it. Second, in this location is it is surrounded by 3 rivers. So if this is Magad, one area there is only entry on one side. On one side it has the Ganga, then on the other side Son, and then Champa. So basically 3 rivers used to, the tributaries of Ganga only, used to stop the entry of anybody from 3 directions. But the most important is the location of Magad near iron mines. Basically, it's just next to the whole sector, which is today the Jharkhand sector, the Chota Nagpur plateau. It had the most volume and best quality of weapons. And therefore their iron access, and their capital first is Rajgir, which is very near to Patna, and then it will become Patliputra, which is Patna itself. So the best helmets, the best weapons, the 3 rivers, higher ground and access to iron, all make sure that Magad emerges victorious and the most powerful under the first 3 rulers. Under its first 3 rulers. Now, there are 3 dynasties. See, dynasty means family. There are 3 families which ruled Magad. I am not going to ask you to learn all of this. This is suicide and you will most probably faint. What I want you to learn is only 2 things. HSN, which is Haryanka, Shishunga, and Nanda, which is the sequence of dynasty. Har, Sisna, and the 4th is rulers. Simarpreet, I'm coming to 4th. Rulers, very good rulers. And what you have to learn is only 4 names, which even I'm not asking you to learn because I want you to learn. I'll be using their names. Bimbisara. Chandragupta Maurya mat bolo. Maurya. After this. Ajat-Shatru, Udayan, and Dhanananda. If you want to learn one more, if you can, this person. Kalasoka. 5 names I am asking you to learn. Bimbisara. Remember, Bindusara is the father of Ashoka. He is Bimbi. That is Bindu. So don't confuse. You'll say, why is there no Ashoka? Because there is no Mauryan Empire right now. Haryanka, Shishunga, and Nanda are the 3 dynasties which ruled. Bimbisara is the first one. Then Ajat-Satru. Who insulted Chanakya? It was Dhanananda. Ye yaad hai. Very good. Bimbisara, Ajat-Satru, Udayan. Bimbisara and the Ajat-Satru are very important because they are the ones which make it very powerful. Udayan is the one who shifted the capital from Rajgir to Patliputra. Kalasoka, I will tell you why is important, because he is one of the people who's related to a Buddhist council. So you will remember his name because you will use it later. And Dhanananda is important because he will be defeated by Chandragupta Maurya. And when I talk about Alexander, he is also important. Can you remember these 5 names over 48 hours? I will see you on Monday again. I just want you to hold on to these 4 to 5 names. Haryanka, Sisunga, Nanda, Bimbi, Ajat, Udayan, Kalasoka, Dhanananda. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes? Okay. Now. A very important change which happened during that is the last point, which happened during the 6th century, or what is called as the Mahajanpada phase, is that finally internal and external trade was revived. When was the last time we saw internal external trade? Indus Valley civilization. And the first currency of India emerged, and they are called the punch marked coins. The punch marked coins. When I'll teach you numismatics in art and culture, I will show you punch marked coins. But the literary testament of this period, of the Mahajanpada period, tells us that punch marked coins as the first currency in India emerges, and literal new words emerge, and some of you are named after that also. For example, Kanika, the name is basically based on the word which is there given in the Ashtadhyayi by Panini. The fact is, now the terms which refer to currency are actually now properly currency. But what is more important is that urban centers will emerge, and finally, now we will start to get certain terms which you have seen also in your life till this point. For example, Rajdhani is going to be the word for capitals of these Mahajanpadas. Then under them you will have what are called Mahanagars, Mahanagaras. Under them you will have Nagar and Nigam. And under that you will have Pura. So basically, now you have a whole set of words which till today we use. Pur means a small town or a city. Nagar means a proper town with fortress. Nigam, as we know, is used for a place where you have commercial activities happening. Rajdhani is the capital and Mahanagar is a big city. And the first Mahanagars of India emerge: Champa, Rajgriha, Sarvasti, Saketas, Ayodhya, Kaushambi, and Varanasi. And more important than that, finally in India, there are two trade routes which develop, which till today, in a way, are followed by the Indian Railways. One is called Uttar Path, and the other one is called Dakshin Path. Uttar Path is the way in which north is connected from east to west, and thereafter to the Central Asian sector. And Dakshin Path is how north and south are connected. Now, you don't have to learn this, but if you have ever traveled in the Indian Railways in North India, you will see how the Indian Railways has the exact same northern route in Uttar Path and southern route in Uttar Path. You see, the northern sector of the Uttar Path is Lahore, Jalandhar, Sahanpur, then Gorakhpur, Bihar, Bengal. Southern route is Lahore, Rawalpindi, Bhatinda, Kanpur, Lucknow, Varanasi, Allahabad. So if you've ever taken a train in North India, you will realize there are two types of trains. One which go via Gorakhpur, one which go via Lucknow and or Kanpur. And these are the two routes which one follows the Shivaliks, the other goes from the southern sector of that. Exact same train routes exist till today. And the southern routes, you don't have to learn it. Do not learn. Do not learn. And the southern route connects Patliputra and Kaushambi with the ports itself. Before I end for today, I want to just do one thing. What have we learned today? We have learned first, Aryan's linguistic group. Second, Vedic period, early Vedic and later Vedic. And we have a whole table for the explanation of that. This is the whole early Vedic, later Vedic. And I have now introduced to you the concept of 6th century BC. 6th century BC is known for three things. Mahajanapadas is known for revival of trade. It is known for punch-marked coins. Now, when I come back on Monday, I will do one more thing which happens in 6th century BC, which is Buddhism and Jainism, along with Ajivikism, which is the three new religions. In a way, I have now completed your two modules, first and second. It's taken me 3 classes. We'll pick it up where we have to pick it up. But I hope these 3 classes are clear and these 2 modules are clear, first and second. IVC, prehistory, Vedic, Mahajanpada. Buddhism, Jainism is the topic we start on Monday. Done? On board basis oligarchies, Ishita, there is a little bit of a less agriculture, so there is no Varna system is there, but the power is dispersed. Okay. Buddhism and Jainism is module number 3. Yes. Done? Okay, perfect. So I leave you 5 minutes early. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.